Later.
Hey man, how you doing, brother?
Sharp Zetlo.
Ah man, I'm all good. Fitted? How are things,
Yeah,
bud?
yeah. Hey, the same, man. Children, inja. Wena,
Yeah,
yini ngathi bazothi sirecruitwe ile blue party angifuna ukubabiza ngegama.
yeah.
Bazothi ngithi bazothi yini ngathi barecruitwe ile blue party angifuna ukuyisho ngegama.
Oh yeah, I know, no. So I know if you're watching this, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a coincidence. I love the boondocks in the background.
No, thanks.
I love the painting. Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
cap. Get things done.
Oh yeah, every day, all day.
Ayikho enye indlela ndoda. Ayikho enye
Yeah,
indlela.
man.
But otherwise, how are things when on your side?
You know what? You know what? I think for me, my body is shut down this week. I've tried to be as productive as I can, but you know, you know, I'm on my side. But I think, in as far as you know, I think work and business is concerned, you know, I think we are in a space where things are picking up in a good way. Okwabo. It's a bit overwhelming, Nakona, but you know, I guess it's what we prayed for, man. You know. Need to stay busy. And I think also, it comes off the back of, lockdown, COVID-19. We had to down staff in a very, very big way, Yokobo. So now when these opportunities sort of come up, some of them are new, some of them are ones that were existing, it's just they've resurfaced again. So now you sort of, I think now you sort of very super cautious, about bringing people permanently up until there's some clarification in terms of what's going on. But just in secret, I think for the fact that I think, number one, we're alive, we're healthy, and we're able to put, bread on the table, that goes a long way. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah. No,
Have you recovered?
Yeah.
Have you recovered from 20 days of standing on your feet? With entrepreneurs at the market.
Hey, daughter, that I realized how unfit. I don't know if it's being unfit or a combination. You're cool and not unfit. I would say more on the unfit side. I haven't really, been doing any exercises for. I think even before COVID, I hadn't hit the gym for a while, and I used to be that person, being hectic, in terms of weight and that stuff. But just in ngivukela ejimini ekuseni before ngespanini, and I think I found that to help through a lot of challenges. Sorry, when the body gets physically tired or sorry, kuba ne-phase engathi i-depression ifuna ukuzipha amandla or whatever. That it really helped, to withstand challenges, but there was 6 days, and I was not going there for the whole rent show. But the days I was there, mangibuya ngazoda, ngathi lift my weight, bengishaya leg day for all those days, when my legs were like,
yeah, no, I know exactly what to say, but I know exactly what you're talking about,
No, man, great to catch up. I think also you and I, we still need to have our proper meeting. We've only met once, in person. I don't know if you remember.
Hold up. Wait. I know we have met. I know, definitely know. No, I definitely know we have met. I'm trying to remember the setting.
Yes.
Where was it? Was there Slego on the mix? In the mix somewhere? Nah. Could never. Well, although I don't drink, I mean, I don't discriminate, and the table is full of bottles. Yeah, man. So, I think when we do it, we must do it, and there must be meat.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I missed your last event. I think Uncle Bainin, you sent me a flyer for something.
Oh, yeah. That was in May. I think in May. Yeah, May. May. We did it last month. Yeah. So we kicking off our.
Yeah, where we met, it was early days, the BrownSense. You had a show at Cliff Central. You were co-hosting. I forgot the guy's name.
Etebogo.
Yeah. We had like 5-10 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
We should have really shy impression is strong. It's okay, not I'm
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. I'm actually having your less of sharp later. But
hey, listen to this man. This time is just impression 10 out of I don't know what, man. Like 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
But tell me, I think a lot of people Bagwazi and one thing I was that has come up a lot, in these engagements that I've been having at SU on Thursdays is, so I get people to come in that are normally known for one or for something, it's not for one thing, but for something, and kunezinye izinto abazitshonayo, outside of that one thing that they are known for. And I think tonight that's kind of also what I would like, to for our audience to get to know. A lot of people that were excited, Bababona announced this conversation. They were excited, and I think they know you from the T space. Or for those who don't know, the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance, just for T.
Yeah.
But maybe, for the benefit of myself and everyone else, whom we welcome to tonight's conversation. Thank you guys, for joining us. 7 p.m. Thursday. We sacrifice our show. I'm sure Angazi TV, Showmax or whatever. But thanks for joining us. Do hit us up, comments, questions, comments, likes, hearts, the whole works. Ubani Bulelani Balabala. That's a very interesting name. It's almost like, when you were born and conceived and it was decided by the powers that be, or something in. So who is Bulelani Balabala? This is not a playful name. It's like, hey, there's something about this guy. So I think, from your background, those types of things.
Yeah. No, man. Sure. I'm a Tembisa born dude, young guy. Well, I'm exiting. I'm 34 this year, so I'm exiting the young guy phase. And you know what? I'm someone who's very very soon I'm out of here. But I'm someone who's I'm someone who's very passionate about Ikasi, Township, and I think just Abantu and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But before T, my journey started about 17 years ago.
Sure.
In my mother's house. Yeah, boy, as a young boy, selling sweets, selling amakwi, and I tried a couple of things, and they think that was in the first 2 years, sort of my informal, business trade, and then I think from there, I then started, I then registered the company, the business, but with no clear idea in terms of putting funugenzani, but I think then an idea sort of dawned on me when I saw a friend of mine coming back from school wearing a T-shirt with his name on it. I think, being a kid growing up in the township, that was one of the wildest things you could ever see. And I mean, he went to a multiracial school at the time. Um, so I think from that, he facilitated the meeting or the meetup with one of his friends who then does this. I then thought to myself, well, I'll probably resell these, because it's such a unique business at that time, about 15 years ago, to have your name on anything, printed or branded was such a unique thing, was totally. And I think then it sort of grew from there. Well, to me, then starting internet cafe, we took 2 years for us to get basic things like internet because there was no infrastructure, and I think Telkom called it, and they had no ADSL exchange in Tembisa. So the whole entire Tembisa, so we had to apply. It took about 2 years. Because now I think they were starting to see with okay, cool. As in, if people are now starting to ask people to build it in. But one of the first day I opened up made 5 rand, and I think for the first 7 years was the toughest, because I remember I still have the book where I wrote down everything. Someone bought an NTCD because we'd sell NTCDs and DVDs. NTCDs 5 rand, photocopies 1 rand, CV is 5 rand, 5 rand for the cover, 7 rand for typing the inlay pages, stuff like that. And I mean, where that particular business started to take a change is 7 years. And I think in between this, right, I'm transporting school kids, I'm selling amalokuza, amabaloni, nama cheese, your food hampers. I'm selling stationery packs. You're a hustler, so you're doing almost anything. And I think out of that consistency, then continue to develop and grow the printing and branding company, and we've been able to create employment for a number of people. Before being disrupted, we were in-house manufacturers, branding and marketing collateral. I've got machines for days, so we can print on any substrate. And I think out of that, out of that entrepreneurial spirit and buzz, then I then started doing tea and a lot of other, I believe, super cool things.
Yeah, man. That sounds really powerful. So, ngicela usikaye timeline, in terms of not a timeline, but a timestamp. So when the time when you register a company, is it back in those days where you actually used to get into a taxi or a car, would drive here, Pretoria, CIP? Well, it was called CPRO back then.
Yes. Hey.
Ufike like
you drive. So yeah, you man, you're taking me back. So what happened was I registered the company in 2006. I remember it was the 16th of August. But before then, I had gotten cash from a friend of mine. I went to church with Felicia. And she came from a well-off background, and she just said, "Hey, Duana, you know what? Here's 400, and I think she gave me $410 if I'm remembering correctly. Because I shared this business idea, right? Because I want this thing. I in this. At the time, my highest grade is grade 9, and I then gone to EWC at Kurle College to try and. I think my mother at the time had been retrenched. She was running out of money. So her thing was, listen, you've got grade 9. Grade 9 is the minimum entrance to an FET college. Let's see how far that could get you. So I got in there, did the introductory course, did N1, N2, N3, then the money ran dry. But and then I think I spent about 2 years in doing nothing. Then the idea hit me. Then when the idea sort of hit me, that's when I started sharing with some friends. So she's like, well, listen, I know you don't have cash. Here's 410. So she gives me this cash. I then decide, as in, I'm going to go register this business. And I remember then what you do is there was no online, nothing, all that. I got into a taxi. I went to Pretoria. They charged me $50. I stood in a long line. They charged me $50 to reserve a lane. And I remember, then it's the first time Korea CBD. There are these guys selling you forms to register a business that they got for free inside. But you don't know. When I say choco, it's $20. And then you were told come back a week. You come back a week later, system was offline. Then you go back, you get on a taxi again. But I think the whole entire process cost the full 400, right? Because then we came back again. Then we actually launched the name in, Then from there I realized I've got this beautiful document. But I was very proud of it. But now the work had to start. It had to start. So I remember then, 2006 is when the business got registered. Felicia had given me the money a couple of months before. In 2006, so I'm doing nothing in 2006, right? Towards the later part of 2006, I'm deciding, because I've met this guy who prints T-shirts, let me talk to some of my friends, because some of my friends were, I think, about a year or two younger than me. So they were in high school at the time, and they were head boys, head girls, and I'm a prefect. So they were able to negotiate and talk to their headmasters to say, listen, we've got someone who could help with our matric jackets. So here I am in this office, I'm wearing a pink shirt, I'm wearing, now this is 2007, right? I'm wearing pink shirts, I remember those because in 2006, my cousin was going to a matric dance, so my aunt bought me formal clothes. So Nale suit, I've got a pink shirt, I've got these kick and boboza, kick and boboza. It was at the time when Motorola thing. So my brother borrows me his pouch, everything. He has SIT on my belt to look professional. I get on a taxi from Tembisa to Kenton Park. I walk all the way to Rosefield. I remember then getting in there. She's like, "Oh, sir, okay, so Should we open the big gate so that you can park your car in? I'm saying, no, my driver dropped me off. That time, no driver's license, no driver, nothing. But you want to look. We have the first, you know what, we have still, you know, we have the first meeting, we talk, we share.
Sure.
They tell me, you know, what they're looking for. And then we have the second session. Second session was, I think, about 2 weeks later with the students. Now they're giving me ideas in terms of what they're looking for. Now I must go back to this guy. This guy is outsourcing his work to a company in Joburg. This company in Joburg is the one outsourcing the work to be done in Cape Town. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think that deal was my first deal there, and I think it was worth about 15,720 or 80, if I'm remembering correctly. But I remember walking away with $800, and I remember, you know, that entirely at the end of this whole project, right? And we delivered the work. I mean, and shy of, I think, 2 or 3 garments that were damaged, and the school wasn't interested in getting them redone. But I remember going to my mother and to my old lady, here's 500 rand. And that time, 500 rand is a lot of money. She's thinking I'm selling drugs or something. But I'm like, no, don't worry. This is yours. I take this 300, I put it away. Then I think to myself, man, Poppy, you know, this is 2007. I then think to myself, well, you know, the matric jacket season is over. It's now May 2007. What am I going to do now between now May till the end of the year till the next run? So then I think to myself, I need a day-to-day business. So I think of this internet cafe. Internet cafe, you know, I sort of go back to what I said initially. There's no internet about it. There's nothing cafe about it. I'm running it from a garage, because the negotiation with my mother was simple. I'll let you use the garage, but you must prove to me worthy so that I can allow you to use the whole entire thing. Because right now you're competing with all the stored items. So I'm competing in my port and all that stuff. So I needed to prove myself, right? And you know, it was one of the most trying and most difficult seasons in this desire to be an entrepreneur. Because you know, in that time, and I think in how the house was positioned, it wasn't even on the main road, you know. So I could see people coming from afar. It was being a part of you attendees. So you see people coming from afar, and you almost get excited thinking they're coming in to do a photocopy and the sorts, but you know they just passing by or they're coming in to ask for direction. And when I sort of look back at when I opened up the doors, so when I opened up the doors was on the 3rd of September 2007. But the build up to that, you know, at the time there was a supermarket brand called The Score. The manager was gracious enough to Tangayama crate. I used those as tabletops. My back also opposite neighbors were renovating their house. So I used those as stands, sorry. And then the neighbors all renovating their house. So they gave me my wardrobe doors. I used those as tabletops. Muzin gave me about 250. I went to the local material shop. I bought them a tablecloth. Marcus donated a computer. My brother gave me a printer, 1 computer. He also gave me, I think then it was an HP 610 inkjet. You could only print. Scanning was not a thing back then. But you know, my onboarding, a lot of people play. So, you know, one of the things for me is I don't identify with the notion you're self-made. Self-made Minangias because, you know, till today, it's people open up doors for me. You know, it's the most people I totally unexpect. Someone would say, hey, I met you, Whoop, I love your work. Don't pay me or give me anything. Here's an opportunity. I love the work that you're doing. So I'm a product of Timbis. I'm a product of, you know, the community of the hospital view that decided to stake their 1 rand, 5 rand, and their 100,000 or whatever, or just to say, hey, here's someone that we vouch for, you know. And so that was the journey, right? For these 7 years, opening up a shop in the morning, I go to the ink shop, I buy ink, I run back quickly. I'm learning on the job. You know, I'm learning how to type on the job. I'm learning how to use internet on the job. And then back then, you know, before we even got ADSL, I had this wireless modems by a brand called Hoha Connect. One of the first in the market back then, you know. And here we are charging about the market-related prices. But, you know, they are charging us exorbitant fees. So every month I'm on a 2,000, 3,000 rand deficit. I'm chasing my tail, but I'm delivering the service to the customer. And I think for me, the sort of, then it was frustrating, but I sort of started to ask myself, I think into the 6th or 7th year, but this internet cafe, there's about 8 in this, in almost a 5 kilometer radius. There's about 8 others, right? What makes me different from everybody else? Then I had to sit in his booze, but you know what? It can't, I'm not just running an internet cafe. These people are surely coming here for something. They majority of the money made came from typing CVs. So this was, I think, towards the 6th and 7th year, we then started now making 150 a day, on a good day to about 100 rand and so. So most of these people are coming in to type out CVs. Then I had to ask myself, but what are they coming here for? The moment I unlocked the fact that, on any given day, you'd find a job post being advertised, and I'd have a wad of people coming to apply for the same job post that they would have seen posted. Then I realized, but what then happens when Mzu has the same qualification as a Bulelani? They went to the same school, they're more or less the same age, they've got almost a similar experience that differentiates them. So there's nothing really that differentiates them. So the person who's the hiring manager, would be irritated in getting 10,000 CVs. In actual fact, they won't even go to them; they'll chuck them in the bin. Then I then thought to myself, yes, let's just change the design and look and feel of these CVs, right? We can't fabricate someone's experience or their qualifications, but we can beautify it so that it stands out while still maintaining a good cost price. Just by simply doing that, we had customers coming from Soshanguve, we had customers getting onto Texas from as far as Rustenburg was the furthest I experienced, who came and said, listen, I'm told your CVs get people jobs. Then it hit me to say, no, man, that's the understanding to say they're not coming to me to type out pieces of paper to go hand out. They're coming to me to help position them. So they're sort of also being super creative, also then started coming out from there. Then the business grew. Then we hired our first employee. I remember his name was Maxwell. May his soul rest in peace. Unfortunately, he passed on a number of years ago. A vibrant gent. From him into 7 years in, I then hired my second employee, Tombi, an amazing lady, who's married now, has got a husband and kids. Thank you so much for your contribution. And then came on Prince and so me. I remember those are my early day employees. They'd come, they'd go, then you're paying them 1,000, 2,000 rand a month. Internet cafes making 5,000 rand a month. You're just hustling and you're dabalazing, but then, it led to the growth of my entrepreneurial journey. Man, this is such a great life. I haven't shared that story in so long. Thank you. And I think thank you because you're reminding me. I can't wait to download this video and send it to my mother, right? She's always said, I want you to replay the story because, now when you talk to people, you're talking about what's happening now. But I think as I'm talking to you, and I'll tell you, because this week I was fatigued, and I think this story just reminded me to just put my head down and work, because the fatigue is coming from being tired, being drained, and also just being stressed, because now the big things that you're working on are taking longer than they should, and there's a bit of frustration and depression. But remembering where one comes from, then you're like, man, we'll weather this. So shout out to you and your team, brother. Thanks, man.
Sure, man. Sure. No, that's me. I came across a statement, SCT. I think in Tebi's way overnight success. So it's every overnight success. It had let's say 27 years as an example, right? So meaning that umuntu makahlangana nawe Vandag and they look at you, your accomplishments, the work that you do. This is all they know, but they don't know all of those other pieces, those other stories and experiences for X number of years. Do you understand? So to them, Konamanji, we overnight success. Well, but they don't know about putting crates together and getting Umakelwane to give you, Minyango ya wardrobe and so forth. I think, and this is something I said to my guest last week, Uguti, we need to find a way to document these stories. I don't really believe in it necessarily needs to be a book. You know how people, but hey, you must write a book. and all that, but there needs to be a
Yeah.
documenting process, whether it's a for profit or whatever, but there needs to be some documented I don't want to say stories per se, but yonke le experience that you've outlined, yabo, because someone,
Yeah.
and this is what I've seen, ne? Kunabantu abakubheka from a distance. They see, maybe they listen to you and all that, and where you are now might make them feel apprehensive ukuthi approach, yabona. Hey, lo muntu bakakhuluma confident,
That's
knows what he's talking about. Hey, plus eloquent. Hey, this and that. So this person in their mind, they've already placed so many hurdles to get over, just to either DM you or makakubona somewhere to say, hey, ndoda ngikubone endaweni ekanje nakanje, I'd like to get some advice about 1, 2, 3 and all that. Not knowing that your story, it won't necessarily be 100% the same, but there's relatable content in your experience and your background for everyone. So, via nesonto, nami ngihambe isonto, whatever, do you understand? Ukhwela ithembisa, nami ngiyayicaba ithembisa, bengihang around ngama-holiday, etc. So maybe I'm inspired to that, to be honest with you. I think any intern, maybe you can just take us through if you do have any Zaibizan process or something oyenzayo delivery. I was actually watching a video eyakho on your page on Facebook, Loud Driver Corner, and you were saying something about entrepreneurship is not as easy as the way people make it seem to be, or the way that some people might look at it. And there's a lot of battle scars already that I've sort of picked up in your story. Sorry, stresses, depression episodes, and all of that. If you do have any mechanism, there is a coping mechanism. Coping mechanism is not necessarily always a negative thing. As in using alcohol or a drug or something else, but it can be anything else that's positive. What is it that you do when, or that you have found to work for you to carry through, to help you carry through process layer, all those challenges, and even now, where you are now, you are trained and all that, but I'm not hearing you saying I'm throwing in the towel.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it's it's been different things over the years, but I think the most consistent things that I've done or that have helped me to just plug out is just shutting down, man. Just if I'm in the car parking somewhere, I've had a lot of those. Like, you come out of the heavy meeting, you just got a heavy call, it's the end of the day, I'm in Santon or wherever. I just park the car in that parking lot, I sit 5-6 hours. I think if there's one thing that I do is that. I had a moment in December where, I think I was going through a very challenging moment, and I sat for 7 or 8 hours, in the car. I just sat, did nothing. So I think for me that then helps, because when I'm in that space, I just plug out. I don't think about the challenge. I don't think about nothing. I pray. The moment I've gathered the energy and the strength, because sometimes, you can go through so many challenges that you don't even have the words to say in prayer, because, some things just curveball you unexpectedly and they just throw you off. You pray, but it feels like you're saying nothing. So I think being able to do that then helps. And I think for me, when I look at the impact of COVID-19, the challenges, I think some of the things that really helped was, spending time with the people that, Amachitawa, my friends, my boys, the guys I grew up with, and just doing nothing but laughing. That in and itself was a beautiful escape, because it helped me in those hours to pull my mind away from the challenge or the difficulty, and to almost act it as a massive reset button, for myself, to sort of realign with myself, So I think for me, then that helps when I've met with unexpected challenges. But some of the things that I do on a daily basis that I believe are super impactful to me is, I mean, I spend about 45 minutes, taking a walk, and I'm listening to a podcast. So whether I'm listening to Business Wars or whatever, I listen to a podcast as I'm walking. So I walk and jog. So that then helps because then I get three things out of that. I get a walk in, I get to listen to amazing new content, but it gives me an opportunity to just think, because creative ideas just come, thoughts just come, and you realign before you start the day. And then from there, I just deal with the day as I move along.
Yeah.
But entrepreneurship, I mean, even having done that, but just you get some heavy, hey. So I understand. I remember Slewo for some years back, where he tweeted, "I've now changed my mind. I do not advise anyone to go into entrepreneurship." But what I mean by that, and I think what he was saying, and I think he then followed it up by saying, "Good, what I mean by that in caution." If you have a job, keep it. Because this side, it's you are in the burning bush, you're in the fire, the lion's den. It's not easy, Wakobo. Because I think some of the conversations that are there, and I think I love very frank conversations, because some of the things that we don't talk about is, although entrepreneurship stands as a great opportunity to give you so much, because we are building it from the ground up. We don't have trust funds, we don't have rich political uncles or political businessmen or rich. We're just we're building these things, nothing. So some of the biggest challenges, building that way is it's so difficult that certain things get sacrificed along the way that you love very much. And most of the case, and in most cases, and most times, although we stand to gain so much when isn't Ozetu's ball and they win, but we would have lost so much. And in that time, it alters, changes our personality, which is why, for me, I feel like being an entrepreneur, choosing to be an entrepreneur is like, choosing to swallow crush bottles and doing it every single day, because there's nothing normal about this, more especially in the South African landscape for Black entrepreneurs, in the South African landscape that were previously excluded. And sometimes, I say to someone, and they're like, "No, man, be positive." And I'm like, "Well, you're talking to the right person. I've been telling thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, get things done, be positive." But as you sort of develop and grow yourself as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a Black young man as well, who's going into business and wants to do very big business, you start to then realize that at certain business levels, you don't get stifled by the fact that you're not motivated. You're not get stifled by the fact that the system is actually truly not operating for you the way that it should. So now you're fighting systematic battles at a different level, different manner, and a different way, because you are delivering more value than company X, Y, and Z. But because they look a certain way, they're given that 100 billion, and you are given 2% of that 100 billion, but you are the person who's delivering value 100%. But I think in the midst of all of that, we are redefining what entrepreneurship is. We are redefining, and I mean, I look at the work that BrownSense has done, the work that you've done. It's really disrupted the space. It continued to disrupt, but it's what it's done. It's then fostered a culture to say, "Hey, amazing people, patrons coming to the market. This is what other Black kids have done." If someone was doubting themselves, they can walk in there and go back home and say, "But people that look like me. I saw some people younger than me, some people older than me, some people bigger than me, some people richer than me, some people poorer than me. I saw them doing something." So because of the fact that, because of recognition, I'm now inspired to go and do something. And I think that's what we are then doing, to then say, build a capable generation that will soar and run miles ahead of us. But I think the difficult challenges is that, we are the ones, being shot in the back with a million arrows, but we'll be paving the way, I believe, for other younger, amazing disruptors who will just easily take their products to market and develop and grow and become billionaires. And I think for me, that's the future South Africa that I'm eagerly anticipating and looking forward to.
For sure. Well, check ule uthini ngayiso. Uthi ungajoli kwanyiwa kwa uthini? Le uthini
so wait, so I've got this on my Instagram. I'm doing a live. I wanna catch that. Yeah, I know he's right.
Yeah,
he's right.
Yeah. No, man.
Yeah, no,
true.
Right, because no, man, it is. And I mean, I look at Vele, Libs, because I mean, they started doing these things for me before anyone recognizable was doing them. But for us young entrepreneurs, and I attended hookup dinners before I was even going to TNT inspired by hookup dinner. But he's just been pushing, through the ups, the downs, and all this stuff. And I think there was some time last year I'm calling him on the phone. I'm like, yo, my man, I'm dealing with some problems, but these problems are not business problems. These problems are personal problems. How then do I navigate? Because sometimes, you can be the sharpest mind, the sharpest pencil in the tool, know how to answer all the, the problems. And give me an hour, come up with a solution. But, you get dribbled by life or love life or whatever the case is, by personal things. And I think that's, I guess, us being susceptible to being, human beings.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, that's really great. Mina, that's why earlier on Mangbuza Guti busy or whatever. I just said kids, Hispani, and Hispani being, my 8 to 5. I've got an 8 to 5. I mean, it's a plantation.
Yeah. I remember.
And then BrownSense, and then this guy here, my dog. As I was mention Imedi or anything like that. So I can just cut here, I can just space. But it's really not just business, per se. I think it's just also for me, for the past, how many years is it now? 6 years. I think the past 6 years, if I strike a life yami, in an amazing way, good experiences and bad experiences. I like, and it made me realize ukuthi kune awuthanda ukuthi umuntu nomuntu nama age I2 or maybe 3. Let me think about it. Okay, there's the age layer which tells you about time. You understand? I was born in 1978. I'm 44 right now in some months or whatever. But learning in how many years? Do you understand? In terms of my maturity level and emotional. Now that's a separate age altogether. And I haven't measured myself. I don't know if there's a way to measure it, but there's definitely not an alignment that I can tell you. You understand? So then there's the body age, which is informed by how do I treat my body? How do I take care of myself, my health, and all of those things? So I think these things that you're talking about. When you say entrepreneurship is the challenges that it puts one through. I really, and I'm saying the past 6 years because for me this was the first real entrepreneurship experience. I've had small pockets in previous years, but nothing like what you experienced in terms of Wakala Internet Cafe. There was the printing, there was many other things leading to it. And I think once you get into the space where you also deal with abantabani, and I think when you're talking about feeling drained, I really do believe in the concept, yama energies. I don't know if you ever feel this when you walk through a mall or any packed place. And maybe you got in there sharp, but for some reason you feel with name and segment imbalance, in terms of vibe, energy levels, what is going on. That you obviously would have to be like, super self-aware to be like, cut off yami igubi. Do you understand? And you are touching on a very key point when you say you called Ulebo. Because for me, that says Wuti support system goes a long way. The benefit honor you having someone that you trust with wisdom. Wuti, I've got a situation as so. Let me call this guy. It's also wisdom on your part. It's also the humility. Wuti, I don't have it all figured out. Ngixakekile manje, where do I go and how do I navigate around this space? On with that point, just take us through how you navigated towards. You did touch on it, like, but kancane earlier on. You starting ET, because I think I would really love our people to get to hear that what T is about. For those of us joining, sikhuluma nge-T, bazalwane. T stands for Township Entrepreneurs Alliance.
Yeah.
So, can you take us through what you're up to currently? Yeah.
Yeah. So, when I started ET was about 8 years ago, because I wanted to do something for entrepreneurs in the township acres, because I remember then, although the business was still growing, but we're doing well, and I think people were seeing the consistency from all the years, and they were asking questions. I think others were asking questions. It was good to, how are you doing this? And I think for me, some of the things that we're asking were, I think it was basic things. It was, no, go to 1, 2, 3, ask them for this, they'll help you in this way. Go to NYDA, they've got this grant program, go to this specific branch because they're highly efficient, ask for this person, they'll help you with 1, 2, 3. Did you know that there's 1, 2, 3? So I then started to say, Yazin, you know what, I'd love to create a space where we did just 2 things. We networked, we got to know each other as fellow entrepreneurs, and number 2, we shared information. Because I saw how the lack of a certain type of information could devastate you, could devastate your business, or could actually change your business. The access to that information could change your business in a rapid way, Understanding where to go, where the markets are, could really just disrupt the growth of your business. So for me, it was to do that, and we hosted our first session, in 2015, a workshop. We ran them once a month throughout the year, 2015, 16. And I think the more and more we do it, interacting with entrepreneur, the more the desire was to say, can you guys consider this? Are you guys able to help with this? And I think Nati, then you see that just sort of, as growth would have it, you sort of fall out of the passion, you sort of fall out of doing the same thing over and over again. So I felt like, now we're sharing information, now we're networking, but what's next? What's next for us? And I think and I think over the past 8 years, some of the what's next were to say these entrepreneurs we meet, what do they look like? Can we sort of gather data and insights around them that we could put out into the market? Can we sort of use this data to develop and create products for this market segment, and solutions for this market segment? Could we then not just host events or workshops? Could we now start to corporatize the value offering into an enterprise supply development offering, into an offering that would allow us to go into corporate as consultants and to consult on informal economies and to consult on the township economy. So I think that growth then led us to that particular point where we're still running the workshops, we were still running the sessions, but in a more of a workshop, definitely in a more of a workshop format, nationwide. But we then have these programs that we're developing behalf of corporates, which are ESD programs that are aimed at facilitating growth. And I think that's our big thing to say, how do we best help entrepreneurs access more markets? And I think in that time as well, there are certain things that we have also let go of because of novelty. They're beautiful to have, they're beautiful to do, but they have no impact. And I think that's where the pain of growth then comes in to say, what is the next thing? What is the next thing? What does growth look like? What is the next thing that is going to position your value offering or your service offering in such a way that it's really going to disrupt the space and it's really going to help you grow and move your value offering to the next stage? And I think even now, in terms of where we are, we've managed COVID relief funds on behalf of corporates. And I think, for us, it's sort of dawning on us to say, but, that's the work that fund managers do. Maybe this then presents a great opportunity to have Black players, local players in the fund management space, that would fund manage ESD funds, maybe potentially under a Section 21 organization that would give tax exemptions to these large corporates, but have the money go to small businesses. And I think when we are able to do that, then we're able to also stop complaining, because I think, and I'll quote him a lot in this chat, I think it's something that, Slebo would say, to say, well, we can complain, but, let's see what they are doing. Let's learn from what they are doing, and complaining won't change the system. The system is the system. But let's get in and let's start to take bite-sized chunks or pieces of those opportunities from the predominantly ordinary players or the consistent players. And the moment we do, from inside, we can start to execute the change that we want to see for the opportunities that we really want to see. So I think in terms of where we are now, we develop and design. So it's not develop and design, but we capture and we output insights on this market. We manage and facilitate ESD programs, entrepreneurial workshops and events, our own, and also on behalf of large corporates. We do township immersions, and then we do quite a lot of consultation. And then I think the last part is the fund management. So I think that's what we have grown into, just from starting. And I remember, in the first year we started, it was just events. Well, I brought in guys I knew. I'm a Grootman. I think the first one we had Alon, we had DJ Spoo. The second one we had Jabu Stone. And we also had Polisa Deshan, who's now very senior, Joe Public. It's just, and I think for me, it was just these amazing people saying, listen, we always wanted to share our knowledge with our fellow brothers and sisters. Thank you for the platform. Now we're going to go out and share the knowledge. So the biggest question, I guess, for us as well, or for me, has been, okay, cool. So Jabu Stone came, then what? So there's that thing that keeps you innovative. I think, you ask, one of my mentors says, I think I attended a workshop where he was asked a question, and this person was saying, when is the best time to give up, or to let go? And he said, well, in his view, is when you stop running out of answers to give and you stop running out of whys to question yourself. So you stop asking yourself, why am I doing this and how do I improve it? If there's no longer an interest in you asking yourself that, and if you no longer have answers, or you're no longer interested in giving yourself answers, then maybe you must give up, because then what used to be a passion will end up quickly start looking or feeling like a very resentful relationship with what was once a very romantic relationship with your dreams and goals.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's T. We nationwide. We nationwide. We're trying to go deeper. I don't know if I offended them or not, but I had a session yesterday with government agency, GEP. I just mentioned them anyway. And I think ITC. And I said and I said to the facilitator to say, if we had $1 billion, or not even $1 billion, if we had 100 million, as an operating cost, as a budget given by government, as some of these agencies are given, but even 30 or 60 times more. The impact would be crazy. And I
Mm.
think the biggest thing is to have these organizations, let them focus on what they're good at, because tap into the right communities. For me, I look at a hookup day and I look at the mind that a Sleboko has, the mind that a Mzuzukile has. You won't find that anywhere else. There's no one doing a BrownSense, the way BrownSense does what they do. There's no one. And this is what I always say, and I always say to guys to say, it's not to say, maybe, it's not to necessarily say that I'm trying to boast about these individuals, but I'm trying to show you, to say that they are unique in their offering, and they are people that you need to tap into to reach out into a broader levels of a broader market, broader networks of individuals to drive impact. But I think at the end of the day, we're still debating, but why must we give a BrownSense a
Mm.
billion to manage or to render to activity? But it's because they're impactful, because they'll be able to drive the impact that's actually required. You understand?
Yeah,
And I think for
yeah,
us, that is why, I think what I've loved is that, even amongst ourselves, T, BrownSense, and whatever, but, there's a level of camaraderie, there's a level of brotherhood where we are now starting to engage more than we did
yeah.
before. Because I really think, and I think this I quote from the Bible, that, one can chase 1,000, but two or three can chase 10,000 or 100,000. And I really
Yeah,
think that, and I really think working collaboratively, being able to understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, will then help
yeah,
us in building a stronger value chain, so that we're able to assist our own brothers and sisters end to end, grow their businesses, and create the impact that they need to create, for their
sure.
communities, for their families. And I think it's going to be inevitable that they're going to go out into the communities, into the broader South Africa, and plant
Mm.
trees and sow seeds of growth, sow seeds and
Mm.
donate monies into schools and build our own schools, because we don't lack those creative ideas. We know what we need and what we want. It's just that we
Mm.
lack the monetary means. But the moment we get that
Oh,
right, we'll be able to affect this change from all the corners of this country.
yeah, 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 man. That's really powerful. I think also as you are talking and you're touching on the Bible verse that you've quoted, which obviously talks to a meaningful collaboration. I say meaningful or maybe impact driven. People who share the same vision. They want the same goals. They share the same passion. I think I want to throw in. They have a similar work ethic and commitment as well, because there's also the doctrine, if I can use the word doctrine, of being unequally yoked. Um, to quote from the Bible,
Yeah.
and how that can really stifle growth and all that. You said something this week, I think, on Twitter. After you shared this, let me just show this to you quickly. Someone asked you a question, but I'm going to show you only what you said. No? Can you see that?
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think
No. Let me hold
the
on, hold on
comment.
before you take it down, because um,
Yeah.
before you take it down, because I'm doing Insta. I'm on Insta live on my phone.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So what you say for the benefit of those who are only listening in and not watching the video part, the Pick and Pay, it's not free advertising, guys. The Pick and Pay's Puzzle Shop episode on Checkpoint saddened me. Township business owners need to know we are the market. We need each other to build each other. Let's build our own brands. In some cases, big business doesn't truly have the interest of small business at heart. This is a tweet by Bulelani, our guest this evening. You can follow him on Twitter at
Yeah.
Bulelani, but hashtag get things done. Um, someone commented on the tweet further down the thread, asking what is the solution, or how do we do this in terms of building ourselves. And your response touched on collaboration, but not only collaboration, it also touched on us buying from our own people, buying from our township retailers, and all that. In a realistic way, how do you see that unfolding? What do you think needs to happen in terms of any meaningful drive towards working towards that, having in mind a lot of the challenges that I think, I obviously think about the township where I grew up, which is a Soweto, but Nakona, I grew up between Orlando West, East, and then a Pimville. But I would like to believe there's more or less similar challenges, but how do you, it's like kufunakala ukuthi kuyenzakale ini. If I can, I don't know.
So,
I'm just trying
so
words.
No, I get you. No, so in my view, is to say, we know for traditional funding means or funding institutions won't give us the ideas to build these institutions that we want to build and to maintain, right? And so, which then says that I think, which is why I love the whole concept of crowdfunding, I guess, went done extremely right, because that can be done with a lot of clear understanding, clear explanation. That can be a super powerful tool for us to develop and grow our own things without them being stifled by copious regulations, a long 10-point list in terms of, well, because we are giving you the funds, this is what we would like to get out of this particular initiative, And I think, for me, it goes back to saying, we can build those brands, we can build a Skinny Spoon to a multi-billion rand organization, a Tepo Gene. Baning, our brothers with amazing Zion genes. We can build them, but I think for me, and I must also say, Wuti, what I'm very proud of is the sense of pride in our own things that has developed over the years. Because I remember, 7 years ago, standing on the stage talking buying black and talking buying township, but then getting questions like, but where are we going to buy them? Where are these brands or products, And then almost getting like, but why they're inferior, why should we buy these products? To now seeing more of our brothers and sisters being embraced. And I really think for me, it's really going to take an entire turnkey. And I think also being patient with ourselves and knowing that if we are doing this, we are doing this for the long haul. Things are not just going to change, things are not just going to change overnight. It's still going to be a process. And in that process of sort of change and development and sort of wiring the status quo, it's really going to take the ones who are breaking out and making it, channeling whatever opportunities they might deem fit as excess opportunities to their other brothers and sisters, so that we open up the entire pipeline and the entire value chain. Because I remember there were years then when I was running my internet cafe, you become insecure about stuff like, oh, so someone decided to open another internet cafe 4 or 5 streets from you. They are jealous, they hate you. They hate me, they don't want to see a black person prosper and whatever. But I thought to myself, but where's the hate in that? They also then saw, seeing an opportunity in bettering their own lives. And I think when I started to become very secure in myself, I started to realize that even the people around me who go and they start whatever they start and it looks exactly like me, it might even be 100% duplicated. I am so confident in my value proposition and my value offering that it's not going to offend me. In actual fact, I'll even give them a lending hand because, I'll never build it like Mzu. I'll never build it like person X, Y, and Z. And I think we then need to start to work our way, our mindsets away from that insecurity that says that, you know, because Spanman is doing what looks kind of like me, I'm now must be shivering on my boots. That means that you're not confident enough in your value proposition, you know. And I think a friend of mine likes saying, which, you know, if you don't have competitive advantage, then you've got no business competing. Just shut down and go home. You know, because then you're gonna be sitting there complaining with they stole your idea, this and this and this, even when it's not a valid or genuine claim. So I really think to answer your question, as was to say, you know, it takes us understanding Guti, that 10 rand, that 1 rand that we have in our pockets, it's not insignificant. But if we were only deliberate in asking Guti, who are the service providers in our community? And how can we then start sourcing products and services from these individuals? And more people deliberate. There's when you sort of look at some of the, you know, things like, you know, economies of scales, you know, I guess new entrants in various markets, especially in the insurance market, I guess I'd also then say in the pay TV market, you then find that if a local entrepreneur or a local group wanted to start their own platform, you would find that Zoo already has a Netflix subscription. I've got a Netflix subscription. Someone else has got a Netflix subscription. And there might be an inconvenience in us switching over, because switching over might mean that their bouquet is not strong enough and they don't have the variety that we're looking for. But are we patient enough to say we are willing to reinvest and invest in our own up until they get to that particular growth point that is required for them to get to where they are? And I think for me, it's a two-part conversation to say, are we willing to be inconvenienced so that we are later on convenienced towards wealth? You know, or are we only willing to participate in the convenience right now, but still stand on the sidelines and say, if only we had black on this, if only we had our own this and these spaces, but we go back to sleep and every transaction that goes through our banking is of brands where we could have redirected that money more low. So I think for me, it's just being more deliberate, being very aware, being more deliberate, being open-minded about who you collaborate with. And I love what you said about like-minded people, you know, where there's clear alignment, clear value, clear deliverables. And I think on the last part, you know, just protecting those around us. And I used to say, it might sound a bit controversial, but, you know, I remember, you know, saying to someone, you know, as a Black entrepreneur, and I say this, but as a young Black entrepreneur, no one is going to come and badmouth another Black entrepreneur in my space. It will never happen. You know, because the moment you start to normalize such things, whether being done by other individuals, by other races, by other whatever, because you want to seem good, you want to seem like a clever Black, you want to seem like you want to be part of the gang. But at the end of the day, you are jeopardizing your own. I'd rather you go back and then you deal with your own. You know, it's like, you know, you're not going to come say anything about my brother. And I think for me, when we start to realize it that way, because we sit in boardrooms where we get asked, also, do you know the hookup dinner? You know, then you sit there and you skin, yeah, I know them, but they're not the best. You know, they're not all that. You know, we could do it better than them. And that's stupidity for me. That's insecurity. That's you defeating the cause and the fight, because you actually walk away or walk out of that boardroom, you know, having tainted not just them, but you've tainted everyone, including yourself. Because out of your own insecurity, stupidity, and not having the confidence required to be able to clearly represent, you know, you are not able to stand in the gap. And I think that's what it takes. It then takes us to stand in the gap because there are opportunities that are not going to be for me. And I think for me, that's where it becomes sort of relevant and important to say, Mzu, here's an opportunity, chat to these guys. I think there'll be alignment. You know, because it's not everything that I need to devour, because much of anything is not good for you. But when you're able to either understand that, number one, you can collaborate. And I think that to all the entrepreneurs and individuals out there, we need to be very clear about something. Sometimes you get an opportunity that comes into your email box, that comes into your WhatsApp or your SMS or whatsoever the platform. It doesn't mean that you need to call someone up and say, let's collaborate on this. Sometimes you need to look at that opportunity and be very clear about saying, this is not aligned to my strategic objectives, let me give it to them. And don't even ask them to give you money at the end of the day. And I think for me, that's how we start to open up and we broaden opportunities up, because, you know, at the end of the day, it takes us to open up doors for other people, but so many people have already opened up doors for us to be stifling the growth of other people that are out there in the market. So if God can use you as a conduit to open up opportunities for other people, do it, because when they win, it looks good for every single body. It looks good for every single one of us, because we can now go back to the very same corporates and say, because Mzu did it and he killed it, how's about you then partner with me in this particular avenue in that regard? Our focus is this. We tackling this market. Tell us what you think. Now that then is a deliberate start in repositioning, redefining where we are in the market and how we play in the market. Wait, hey, my laptop better not switch off. My
Ibheji siyakhala. Ngathi vele yacima. Athi ngicheck. Sorry for the abrupt interruption. Hey, now I can see you. Okay, cool. Let me add you back. Okay, sharp. Hey, so
yeah, no, sorry, yeah, no, the modem went off. Hey, yeah, just but they're not gonna. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really powerful. You know, as you were talking, what's going through my mind is that the blueprint is there. You know, because this has been done. You know, what if Rizile foot not?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the blueprint is there. You know, I think if we go back into history and we look at other similar things that, you know, people that have been oppressed and have come up, you know, and how they did it. So hence I'm saying the blueprint is there. I think on the issue of collaboration, what I believe can work, you know, is exactly what you've said. And obviously everyone knowing ukuthi role yakhe yini, right? So you've got the work that you're doing, your strengths and all that, same level. And there's many other people, you know, that you know in the space. I think personally, and this is my personal obsession, I really believe there's a big part for media in all of this. Media, I'm not talking in terms of only AMA news and all that. I'm talking, you know, you touched on pay TV, for instance. So I'm talking about the types of things that easily grab people's attention. You go on Twitter. What is the thing that is buzzing, that's keeping people talking? My reality TV shows. It's some wretched show on one of these channels on DSTV, and those types of things. You know, because it drama attracted. Do you understand? So um, I really think that there needs to be a level. But there needs to be a level you brainwash. You know, the early days, the BrownSense, I used to come across this picture here. It was an animated picture where they showed a black man's brain. Let me rather say black person's brain, and they wrote, isn't as name that whoever did that considered this is what has brainwashed umuntu omnyama. And excuse me, which is true. There's a lot of stuff which has taken repetition over a number of years. Um, why for many years Kuma magazine, fashion magazine or whatever, standard of beauty was a white woman or a light skinned black woman, for instance, who's of a certain weight. Do you understand? Those things are intentional. Why is it that Masakula, I'm sure even now, to some extent, but not as much as Masakula, the first person to die in the movie is the black guy. The movie is like color. The guys. Why is it that for a sitcom the black guy who childish? The schemes are out. There's a white guy, Chinese, all of that, but the black guy has to be childish, irresponsible, the clown in the crew, and all of those things. You run that narrative over a number of times. I mean, just think about that script I've just shared. I'm sure you've seen a number of movies where, this is exactly how we've been portrayed. Now, as in Tuana, when you grow up watching these things, I remember Mangsa Cool, I mean, I used to think go right back chat my parents because the sitcoms I used to watch, bengibona umntwana omncane bayamthethisa then uyasnapper back ukhuluma back to my parents wakhe. Do you understand? Then I got into, I forgot the name of the TV show. It was on SABC3 and it was popular. Let me not say be popular, but mina bengiyithanda. And at, at the time when I was doing matric, so baveza ama-students asevarsity kune-awuthi always cool guy, the ladies on campus bayamncaywa, and every time aka-appeara uphethe cigarette, and in my mind I was like, yeah, nami mangifika evarsity I'll start smoking. Do you understand? Fortunately I never did, but the thought was, the seed was planted. I once had, but I've never verified this, but during that season, Olivia Pope, I forgot the name now. The Scandal US. I think sometimes babies are the fixer.
Yes.
Almost in every episode, makafika kwakhe ebusuku, ne? Young black woman, successful. Makafika endlini yakhe usingile, ogcwalisa a huge glass, ngathi fish bowl with red wine. Apparently, sales away red wine was skyrocketing during that season. My popular, do you understand? Relation. You see, so I really think when I talk about the brainwash, and obviously addressing it at different levels. Abantwana sibathola kuphi? The subtle messages kuma Popeye, that if we don't pay attention what our children are watching, the brainwash seyiqalile, and we need to put in double time to prevent the damage from being done. Do you understand? Same as they grow. Do you understand? Which okay, now there's a lot of videos that are coming out with social media where you see high school kids either verbally abusing or physically abusing a teacher. You read the comments, most of them by a share, it's a joke, and no one is realizing that this thing is going to blow up into something that no one will be able to control if we let it carry on the way that it's happening. I can go on and on. My point to Gucci, the collaboration would address different points. So now what I had in mind when I started Deep BrownSense was, I believe it's a bottom up and top down approach. So bottom up is there's a lot of issues that need to be dealt with at a root level. That's where the hard work is. That's where a lot of us will die not having seen the results. You understand? And then the top down are low hanging fruits. You understand? So where are the opportunities where maybe we can partner with a corporate, Bafagi Mali, we do something, it flies. Yes, we'll do the work. It takes a long time and a lot of effort for it to materialize. But it's there, it's doable, it's quick. Yeah, but bottom up is like, how do we build or rebuild the foundation? I read a friend's tweet this evening, actually, maybe the reset or the great reset or economic reset it means less blow up, crash iphele, then we start something from scratch. What does that look like? I don't know. Is it irresponsible? Something like that? Are you to minister? Got you.
But if the rent falls,
this is on top of pants.
hey, yeah, I don't know. They say the rent is gonna fall. No, if the rent falls, we'll pick it up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. But then I think let's hey, what shall I stage? um let's do the work, in terms of maybe just to part, and call it an evening at this point.
Yeah.
I'll just say my parting shot and then hand over to you, to say your goodbyes and your parting shot.
Yeah.
I think I really believe in power collaboration, and I use the word meaningful in a lot of times to say, you said something that sometimes you get something, you don't have to collaborate with someone or say, I'm also 10% or whatever situation. There are situations where it just doesn't make sense, for whatever, it might be maybe, you can sense that this other person is coming at me with ulterior motives. It's a come up for them, and they keep on saying, let's do it for the people, but that's not really what it's about. And then buzzwords to make it's like emotional blackmail, type of language. But besides that, it's the fastest way, I think to make meaningful traction, because if abantwana bethu are having these conversations, I think sizobe sifailile, even with all this work that we've done, that we are doing. If they're having a live stream now, and they're talking about building and let's come.
No.
Let's do this. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I think over to you in terms of, a parting shot, and a call to action.
Yeah. No, man. You know what? I really enjoyed this chat. It's just at the bummer. It needs to end. But I think for me, to the person out there, I guess, who's listening to this podcast, was watching this interview, just save it. And believe you me, some of the things that we're talking about when you're going through, I guess, your darkest hour, when you need to realign and affirm yourself, this is where you need to go. But I think most importantly, just stay in the game, man. Building from zero is difficult. It's not easy, and I think most of the time, or some of the but some of the displeasures that we do, especially as young entrepreneurs, is we are not honest about our journey. So in us not being super honest about our journey, we create the assumption that it's easy. We create the assumption that, you'll do exactly what I do and tomorrow it's going to be a success. But, be comfortable in knowing one thing, that it's a long journey, play the long journey, it's a long journey, play the long game. But be very confident and be very focused enough in saying, number one, I understand my value proposition. Number two, I believe that, and I keep evolving the story. I keep evolving my sales pitch. I keep evolving my value proposition in the market, and I add value to my consumers. And you're going to consistently sell, because when you do that, you inevitably know that, your opportunity is going to come. And sometimes, we sort of miss our opportunities, looking over to the next person saying, oh my goodness, so they've got the biggest 1, 2, 3. Maybe we need to do that. Oh, wow, they just launched or whatever. Maybe, we need to have a tea, whatever, tea cap or tea shoe, or I don't know what, right? Because that's the new hip and happening. Focus on yourself, man. Focus on your journey. Focus on what you believe your focus is, and hone in on that and have tunnel vision focus, because at the right time, at the right moment, the right opportunities are going to come to you. And the beautiful thing about investing in your focus and investing in the value proposition is simply that, you're going to consistently position yourself as a market leader in 1, 2, 3 in that particular discipline, because it doesn't pay to be a jack of all trades and be a master of none. Number one, you walk away with no credibility. Number two, you would have watered down the value in terms of monetary gains that you would have made. Number three, you would be known as someone who's an expert in nothing, and you don't want that. But after everything has been said and done, I'm going to encourage in us to be very deliberate about where we spend our money, us to be very deliberate in building our own communities of entrepreneurs, communities, are they in the neighborhood, are the digital communities where we're very deliberate about collaborating, working together, and putting the word out there of our fellow entrepreneurs who are doing incredible work, or who are just doing work in their various spaces. Because when they give an opportunity, that's when that opportunity will drive normal work into incredible work. But just simply go out there and get things done. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Before Masfunike Pisele get things done, how do we do that? Are you selling them?
It's definitely. I mean, it's 200 bucks. I almost said 200,000. I'd love 200,000 and the cap, by the way, but it's 200 bucks a cap. You can just social media, man. You can just DM me, Instagram or Twitter, Bulelani Balabala, and then I'll link you up. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm the one selling these, so I will sell them to you and deliver and the sort. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And Dr. Siabonga, thanks for your time. It was great. We'll have that meeting soon enough. So afterwards.
Let's do lunch. So meet. Where there's food. I want to see where there's food.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Just big bread, man. Yeah.
I appreciate it, Yabong. Thank you. Thanks to you and your team for putting this together, bro. Yabong. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I don't know why I thought there's someone standing next to me here, hence I'm looking at the side. Siabonga, thanks for joining us for our first installment of the live stream for the month of June. I look forward to connecting with you next week. If you have any suggestions, ideas, comments, or you can DM. Peace, adios.